So welcome back everyone. So today I want to talk about something really interesting and really important that I'm pretty sure if you're doing a Docker project then you're gonna need some part of it, and I'm sure you can relate to that. So today we're gonna talk about the Docker volumes. So the first things first, what are Docker volumes? So Docker volumes are just a way like you have volumes in Linux-based systems that you provide a persistent storage to your Linux instance or something. So it's just like a partition, and just to summarize, it's persistent storage, right? But we can get more into it in a more detail-based system. So if I just show you this picture, so in Docker containers, so Docker manages volumes a little bit differently, but it manages in a way that helps the developers to build containerized applications. So as you remember, I'm pretty confident that you're familiar with Docker container concept. So the first thing is that we see in this picture is that this is a life cycle of a basically volume. So whenever a container basically runs in a Docker cluster, what happens is that the container is storing everything into your RAM or memory, so to say. So as soon as the Docker container restarts or dies, or any sort of malfunction happens, everything that it has stored in its own file system or everything just fades away forever. And that's where the use of Docker volumes comes in. That provides you the persistent storage. So as you can see here, the container is basically has a memory, and it is mounted. It has mounted a particular volume to the memory, a specific path. For example, you can say my /etc/config file. You can mount that from the memory into volume, and then that volume, Docker will keep that volume on a file system in a persistent storage, and every time you spin up a container, it's going to read from that particular volume and give the persistent data that was stored into your volume when your Docker container basically just shut down or failed or anything like that. And the second benefit you see is that volumes can be shared between containers. So for example, you have a certificate, let's say an SSL key, an HTTPS certificate, and you want to share it between your different containers which are itself servers, so you will need that eventually. So you can put your SSL certificates into one volume, and then you can connect that volume into several different containers, and all those containers can basically read from that and serve your certificate for that's just one use case, but I'm sure there's a whole lot of use cases for that. And in general, volumes can be used to share data between containers, as well as provide your persistent storage. So now let's talk about a bit practical stuff. So I want to talk about the volumes in a more practical way. So I'm going to use SQL Server as an example. So first of all, we're going to containerize the SQL Server from the Microsoft. I'm sure quite most of you are familiar with that. So let's just start by pulling the image for that. So I have already pulled it for you, so it doesn't take time in the video to do all that stuff. So if I just hit enter, so you can see it's already been pulled. So now it's time to run this SQL Server into Docker container, or to containerize the SQL Server. So I'm going to say sudo, let me just add a alias to keep things simple, so I don't have to do that again and again. Okay, so when I say Docker, it's always there. So I'm going to run minus, in fact, I will leave this command because what I want to do, I want to copy that layer. I'll show you why. Anyway, so I'm going to say run, and we need to pass some environment variables to this container, to this image, basically, to run it as a container. So the first variable, environment variable, is of course the license agreement stuff, and then the most important one is going to be your password. So I'm going to say, give it a password like that, password to add, and that's the second environment variable. So the third thing, the most important one as well is the port that you want to run into. So normally people use 1433 as the port for SQL Server. So I'm just going to keep it here, but you know that if you've watched my previous tutorial video, so you can see that this first entry is basically your host port, and this the right one is the container port. So if you change the host port, so you can serve like the port will be basically forwarded to the internal port, so you don't need to worry. So you can have 4506 here, and then you can go to your Docker host or IP address column 4506, and you will be served with the DB access. Anyway, so next up we can just name that as SQL container, and then we can say -d, just don't show me, just go out of as soon as it's done, and then we want to copy our image name, and let's just run that up. Okay, great. So seems that it is running. So if I do, oh, perfect. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to SSH into this container, and I'm going to say sudo, oh no, don't have to say that, exec -it, my container ID, and I'm going to run bash into it just to go inside it. So into the container, so whenever you download the SQL Server container, or you run it in a container and from the Docker Hub, so it always provides you with an SQL command utility into your stuff. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead into the cd opt, this is the path for it if I'm correct, tool/bin/SQL command, and that's basically the utility that the container or whatever is going to provide you. So I don't need to do a cd, I can just run it right away, I think. So I'm going to say s localhost, and because it's running inside it, so you don't need to write a container IP because I'm already inside the container, and this command is going to be run inside, and localhost will eventually translate to that host. And then I'm going to say sa -p. SA is the user, of course, the normal default SQL Server user, and then you have the password for that. So the password that we sent up there, very stupid and insecure, don't do that, but this is just for explanation. Always use good passwords. So yeah, so let's just try to get into that. Perfecto. So now we are running the SQL command. So now I'm attached to a shell where I can start creating or run my SQL queries. So I'm going to say create database my YT, let's say, and then I can say select name from, I can just find this DB here, sys databases, oopsie, and then we can just add go, and as soon as you add go, this SQL command utility is going to basically run your command and show you the results. So there you go. So we can see that our myYT is there, it's running. So if this container is killed, let's say we kill it intentionally, and now, oops, I will just force that up. So if I kill it myself, now the data that we stored, our database that we stored, is just gone forever. So how do we solve that? And that's exactly where the use of volumes is going to come in. So let me just rerun our own command over there with a different set of flag, where I provided a -v of volume, and that's where I'm going to call it SQL vol, let's say, and it's going to mount on the path opt slash I'll just need to check it just a second. So now I am running this container with a specific volume, and if I go ahead and I say I want to SSH or execute this inside a container, I want to see what's running inside, and then I say I can just copy the other command real fast, and I say remember our password, this, and now I'm here. Now I will create a database as usual, the way we did earlier. Database, my IT, and I say go, and it says probably is created. Then I say select name from sys.databases, and I say go, and I see it there. Now the interesting part is I exit that container out, and I want to delete this or stop this. Okay, let's just stop it first. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna delete this container completely, and then I'm gonna create another one right away in front of you with the volume. So this time we have this SQL container and -v and SQL wall running with it. So since we had a volume, I should be able to see my database into it, right? So I say I need to do that, sorry, bin bash, and then I can say opt / MSSQL tools and bin / SQL cmd -s. The host is localhost -u sa -p password. Okay, perfect. So we are in the utility. So we can now quickly go ahead and see if our database persists into that. Databases. Perfect. So you see, even though I killed the container completely, I ran it again, I deleted that, and I ran it again, and I still have my YB. So that's exactly where the magic of the volumes comes in. And if I do Docker volume, so that's my SQL-volume that I'm currently using, and you can even do that, inspect volume, or I think I just say SQL wall, and there you can see it's driver, it's mount path, and every detail that you need to know about, and you can even share that in between containers. So I hope you learned something with the video, and see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.